news of the Canon EOS R6 Mark III have gone largely quiet. We've heard virtually nothing since the first quarter of 2025. But today, as we get to the end of the second quarter, we've got a set of leaked specifications that depart from previous specs offered by Canon rumors. Are we getting a resolution boost? Will we have to wait until 2026? Well, I'll break it down for you step by step in just a moment. And if you are serious about staying up to date on the latest camera gear, go ahead and punch that subscribe button. It not only helps this channel grow, but it keeps you in the loop. So finally, we have some information on the Canon EOS R6 Mark III. Now, if we go back to 2024, there was rumors that we were supposed to have that camera announce, the R6 Mark III, on its 2-year anniversary around November the 2nd. But then that date came and went, and then we were told that Q1, January of 2025. Well, January came and went, and so did Q1, and here we are at the end of, well, essentially Q2 with just 1 month left to go. And we don't have a whole lot. We've had a few things come out from Canon rumors telling us about a 24 megapixel sensor, that it's going to have a stacked sensor, it's going to have a new sensor and some other information. But a lot of these specifications seem to be contradicting themselves. Well, today we have more contradictions. And this time around it's coming from, is it Jan? It's a German name, so it would probably be Jan Wagner. So what he was saying is that this information, the sources that it's coming from, he believes it.
Because from time to time, people whisper things into my ear, and usually whenever something gets whispered into my ear like this, these things have been bang on in the past.
So yes, Jan believes that this information is absolutely bang on. Now again, guys, when we're talking about rumors, things can always change until we actually have an announcement. So let's cover off the two pieces of information that are kind of big. Now, the first one, I'll talk about the date. It's supposed to be announced in Q4. Now, what I'm thinking of in terms of Q4 is probably sometime in October, early November at the very latest, as we saw with the R6 Mark II. That announcement actually happened, I believe it was a day after the Sony a7R5, and I believe it was on November the 2nd. November the 2nd is kind of a big day for me, because that's when I came to Canada. How many years ago was that now? Like 4 decades ago, 5 decades ago? It was a long time ago. Anyhow, he's saying Q4 of 2024, but he's also insinuating that potentially we might not see the camera until 2026. I would doubt that. I would think that if we get an announcement in Q4, it's going to start shipping in Q4. Canon doesn't play that game like Panasonic does. So if the announcement happens in Q4, it'll start shipping in Q4. Now, it might be around Christmas time, as we've seen with some other cameras, but yeah, that's the time frame. And it doesn't really surprise me a whole lot, because if we were getting something pretty soon, we would start to see an awful lot of noise coming out. We'd get more leaked pricing, we get more leaked specifications, and stuff would start to come fast and furious. Leaked retail products and boxes and all that sorts of stuff, and we're not getting that. So in terms of a second half announcement, you know what? That seems to make an awful lot of sense to me. I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Now, probably what this video will do and what Jan's video will do will help shake the rumor tree, and then we'll probably expect Canon rumors to respond with what their sources are saying. And if you've overheard anything through the grapevine, please reach out to me. Let me know. Everything is kept completely anonymous. We would love to break whatever you have to share with us about that. But now let's talk about one of the biggest surprise specifications that Jan talks about, and that's the sensor. So let's flash up the latest leaked specifications according to Canon rumors. And what we can plainly see here is that it's supposed to be getting a brand new 24 megapixel sensor, that it's going to have a stacked sensor, and that the readout speed is going to be somewhere between the R1 and the EOS R5 Mark II. Okay, and for the better part of the last 4 to 6 months, we've been hearing it's going to have the same sensor as the R3. It's going to have a new sensor, but it's always centered around that 24 megapixels. Well, what Jan is telling us is that no, it's going to be higher. Now, obviously it's not going to go up to 45 megapixels or anything like that. But what we're kind of thinking is, and I agree with Jan on this, he's thinking around 30 megapixels. I'll take you back to the EOS R. When that camera came out with 30 megapixels, everybody liked it. And ever since Canon came up with the R6 and the R6 Mark II, people were complaining that it wasn't shooting at 30 megapixels. Now, there's good and bad to this. One thing that Canon rumors also said that it's going to have a similar readout speed to the R5 and the R1. So that would mean somewhere around 6.3 milliseconds to 2.7 milliseconds. I would say closer. See, if it's 24 megapixels, the R5 has to push twice as much information. So to get a faster readout speed, that's a good thing. For wildlife photography, that's also a good thing. Now, if we bump up that resolution, what tends to happen is you tend to have more noise at high ISO, which isn't good for wildlife photography. And that's what we're seeing with the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. So the readout speed has decreased, so less rolling shutter, right? And that's a good thing. That allows us to shoot electronic mode. But then that creates the other problem, is by doing that, by decreasing the readout speed, that tends to increase or add more noise at high ISO, which isn't a good thing. So getting a stacked sensor by itself isn't necessarily a good thing. It depends on what you're shooting with a camera. With the R5 Mark II, for me personally, I think it's a game changer for my workflow. It makes it a whole lot easier to get the shots that I need, the video footage that I need. I really like it. It's terrific. But for other wildlife photographers, and even Jan himself has talked about this, and many others, saying that, yeah, you know, that extra noise at high ISO, I'd rather stick with the R5 Mark I. I'm not really happy with it. So at this point, I'm not sure what to think. This is the first time in about almost a year of supposed leaks about the R6 Mark III that we've heard that it's going to get a bump in resolution. And let's kind of go back in time here. So we had the EOS R going back to 2018, October 2018, 30.2 megapixels, right around there. Then we get the R6, it's down to 24. The R3 comes out 24. The R1 comes out 24. The R6 Mark II comes out 24. And you can see that Canon's consistently focusing on 24. And there's a very solid reason for that. What you get at 24 megapixels is you get much better, well, you get a better readout speed. So you get a faster readout speed without sacrificing noise at high ISO. If we bump the resolution, and I'm not saying they're not going to do this, but there's a trade-off here. And I think that's one of the issues. Again, looking at the leaked specifications that we got from Canon rumors recently, I see Canon Log 2 as a bit of a red flag. And why is that a bit of a red flag? Well, to do Canon Log 2, you need to have at least 16 plus stops of dynamic range, or let's say you could probably get by on 15 stops of dynamic range. So that means it is going to have an all-new sensor. But how is Canon going to architect this sensor? We've seen an awful lot of patent applications. Is it going to be stacked? Is it going to be a rolling shutter sensor? Is it going to have a global shutter sensor? There's so many possibilities here. And at this point, while I appreciate what Jan has told us, there's no validation here. There's no specifics. And I love specifics. I really do. When we get these, I'll call them leaks. When we get these leaks, and they're very general, they're not specific, sure, I don't doubt that maybe he's been whispered something and that what he's been whispered is true. But the devil's in the details, and that's what I'm looking forward to chasing down now. I'd love to get some details about what this potential sensor could do, what the R6 Mark III is going to be capable of, where Canon's aiming this camera at, because if it does go to 30 and it does change the sensor type, that does shift the market it's going after a little bit more. And maybe there was just an overabundance of people asking Canon that they wanted to bump up the resolution. I personally think that 24 megapixels for me is more than enough. I still shoot with a 70D, and I think it's around 20 megapixels. And I never thought this just isn't big enough. Because remember, we've heard a lot of people asking for, a 80 megapixel sensor, a 60 megapixel sensor for a new Canon. But there's a difference between having a high resolution image and having usable information. And we do start to, just because you ramp it up from 24 to 30 to 45 to 80 or whatever it is, doesn't mean that you're going to have usable information that it's going to scale. And so that's why I'm really curious to see what we get here. Again, if you do happen to have overheard some conversations, it's something you can share with me, do it anonymously. go ahead and click on my YouTube channel at the main page. There's a little link. I hate how YouTube does it now, but it's kind of like a little hot link, and you tap on it and it shows you all my contact information. There's my email address there. If you're really concerned about keeping things, you know, completely anonymous, just set up a temporary account and then email it to me. Anything you give me, I will, you know, you can tell me certain things, tell me what to keep off the record. Whatever you feel comfortable with, I'd be happy to share it with everybody, because I know there's an awful lot of people that are looking forward to the Canon EOS R6 Mark III. For me, it's more about new lenses. I've been meaning to get out. I haven't been feeling so well lately. I'm still under the weather right now. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but let's just say sitting right now is very uncomfortable. The weather looks really nice, and I can't get out there. I love getting out this time of year with my 100 to 500 millimeter. And I got to tell you, something very interesting. I've noticed some of the inconsistencies with the autofocus system, and I brought those to you. But now I want to show you a clip, this one right here, and look at how accurate, how stubborn, how sticky the autofocus is to the eye here. It just won't let go. It's locked on, just absolutely incredible. And what I was hoping to do, part of my testing with the R5 Mark II with the 100 to 500 millimeter with firmware 1.0.3, to further try and get more information that I could share with Canon and you guys about the issues that I'm having with the autofocus system. In this particular outing, it performed flawlessly. Now, the temperature was warmer outside. Could that have played a role? I don't know. I don't have enough data points at this point, but I want to get out there again, and I can't right now because I'm not feeling my best. I just need to get better, but at least I wanted to get this video shot for you. You know, 10 minutes of sitting in this chair I can handle. R6 Mark III, some incredible specs coming out, and we should, if it is a Q4, that means we'll probably start to get some more leaks in the next month or two, but hopefully we get something validated pretty soon. Anyhow, thank you so much for tuning in. One small request I have, if you can go ahead and subscribe and choose all notifications, and also if you want to get a sneak peek behind the scenes, then consider joining my channel. Click the join button and consider becoming an insider, because as part of an insider, well, you get access to a whole bunch of videos that nobody else sees that takes you behind the scenes, where you can actually ask me questions and get a video answer, as well as participating in a private live stream where you can actually get the training to one day become one of my regular panelists if you'd like to. I know that a lot of people find it intimidating, but you know, if you do a private live stream along with other peers, you can find that it actually becomes a lot of fun. Anyhow, thanks so much for tuning in. One other thing too, we're starting to see prices go up, but we're also starting to see prices coming down. I saw something strange. I don't know if this is still on today, but Walmart had an R5 Mark II for $47.29, and I looked to see if it was an open box or anything, and it wasn't. But we are still seeing some good prices out there. I've got the link to Walmart down below, but you know, primarily the R5 Mark II is $4,100, and the Mark I, or the R5 Mark II is $4,100, and the Mark I is $3,000. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourself a great day, and we'll see you again soon.